Hi everyone, a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Ashish and I am representing proMX here. What I'm going to do today is we're going to talk specifically about Project Online, which is the end of life, right? So Project Online is going to retire very soon and we wanted to educate you, tell you more about what's next for your business. And we'll let people join in, but uh, with that in mind, I think we should continue and we will start the discussion today. Feel free to write your comments and questions in the chat, and then we'll take up those questions separately at the end as a Q&A. So I have my colleague Schitij from Microsoft. I'll let him introduce himself, and then we can get into a deeper discussion. Over to you, Schitij.
Yep. Thank you so much, Ashish. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Oh, I think I'll change display. Yep. Yeah. If hopefully you can confirm that you can see the timeline, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'll just share the. So I think welcome everyone. So I think I just want to share this slide. I think and then I'll pass it over to proMX team to kind of show your options as and when project online is retiring. So I think based on Microsoft's timeline, I think we issued uh, um, a public notice where in 2025 September where Project Online will retire. So I think in the process for all the customers, I think it is good to reevaluate rather on what direction you might more want to move in. So there are various options available as well, but also I think proMX will try to kind of drive with what's next, and you might want to upgrade your needs on project management as well. And this is tied to also your ERP, your current ERP, which probably would be on any other platform as well, or Dynamics as well. So I think the proMX team will probably share what next can you do and what actions can you take by when. Also, I think there is a demo in schedule as well. So I will be listening in as well, and please feel free to post questions in chat because I think this is the right time you should start planning your transition. So I think without further ado, I don't have much to share right now. I will probably give time to ProMX to kind of go through the demo as well and all the next steps. So I think over to you, Ashish.
Thank you, Schitij. I think the timeline, of course, is pretty critical at this moment for everybody joining in. And here's my email ID and LinkedIn contact. In case any one of you want to contact me or get in touch with me, please feel free to write me an email, drop me a line, add me on LinkedIn. I come with 10 plus years of experience. I'm based out of Singapore and I lead business development and strategy for Asia Pacific as a market. And I've been in this Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem for more than 9 years now. I work with a lot of CXOs, C-suite leaders, and help them transform the way they are operating and using, business applications primarily from Microsoft. And with that experience and with that background, I would love to get in touch with you in case you have any concerns, any queries, anything related to Microsoft application, not just this particular topic that we have today, but happy to do a separate discussion with you. So feel free to scan the QR and add me on LinkedIn or take down my email ID. Happy to get in touch with you. I'll pass this to my colleague Anthony, who's our main speaker today, who's going to take you through a detailed view of what project online and what project operation looks like. How is it compared to each other? What are you going to get extra? Plus, we'll also try to pop it up with some quick demo that will also give you a good glimpse of how the solution actually looks like. So, Anthony, over to you.
Thank you, Ashish. I'm hoping I'm audible. So right now, okay, so this is me. Thank you, a very warm welcome to everyone joining. We are really glad to see you here. My name is Anthony, and right now I am leading the pre-sales in Asia Pacific for proMX. Right, a little bit about myself. My first line is I am very enthusiastic about AI, right? I'm practicing it right now, and that is also one of the major points later on when we're talking about project operations of what's the benefit that can help you and give value to you, right? In terms of my experience, I have about 15 plus experience working with Dynamics. I'm starting all the way back from Dynamics CRM4 until right now the 365, right? And in terms of project operations and predecessors also, right? I also work with that as well. In terms of industry, I did some experience with a lot of industries coming from professional service, energy, manufacturing, and also with some global rollouts, multiple rollouts, right? So that is a little bit about me, right? So now I will start with the main presentation that we are going to have today. All right. So the agenda is basically for 5 parts, right? We're talking a little bit about the project on deprecation and how that impacts you, right? How to plan your transition. And then in the ways, we also will talk a lot about project operations, right? Because this is what we believe that will bring the most value to you, right? We will have some demo, of course. That will be the interesting part of the webinar. And then after that, we'll have some talk about proMX itself and a call to action, right? What needs to be done afterwards. So I will directly go to the next one. Right. So before we get into the product, right, I have this little slide to basically just to set the stage a little bit. In terms of project management, I mean, if you're thinking about it, right, like who actually needs project management? The short answer is, of course, yeah, anyone who runs the project, right? And I mean, like both flavors. We're talking about like investment project on the left side. You see software implementation, R&D, facilities, equipment, right? And on the right, we have revenue driving, like software development, custom manufacturing, construction, right? On the left side is more like investment. You need to track like all the costing, where the money goes, right? On the right side is revenue driving. You're going to make money, so you need to track everything also. So in this case, both of these kind of project will need some project management, will need some project operations. So just a little bit um, deep, deep down a little bit, right? We're talking about investment project. Now, investment project is not only the project, it's not only the middle part, right? It's not only when we're not talking only about the execution, about the controlling, about the time and expense tracking or product collaboration and everything. But if we are talking end to end, we need to see also like what is the before, what is the after, right? What is the before the project, then definitely needs what? Some requests, some business case. And after the project, there needs to be some reporting, some internal billing. So the key thing is this, right? When we're talking about project, it's not only about task scheduling, it's a full life cycle, right? Gathering from the start to the finish. Same thing if we are talking about revenue driving projects, right? Talking about revenue driving projects, we also have the before and the after. But there is maybe a little bit difference when talking about revenue driving project because there needs to be a sales process first, right? Someone has to win the deal first. And after the project, it was not just internal billing, it's customer billing. Someone needs to bill the customer, which means what? Invoicing, revenue recognition, right? Making sure we don't leave any money on the table. So this is how, like, talking about project operations is how that it differentiates itself a little from the planner, right? Because when we're talking about planner or project online, it's only talking about more tasks and board, right? It's not doing all the deal management, voting, invoicing, financial tracking. Okay. So this is talking a little bit about the current solutions from Microsoft in terms of project management, right? Of course, from the left side, we see that there's a project desktop. This is something that lives in your local PC, MPP files, on-prem project management, and then afterwards we have the project server subscription edition, right? So this is for organization that need more capabilities, right? That is hosted on-prem. In terms of feature, this is quite the same or have some feature parity of project online, right? On the most right side, we have Planner, right? Which is more like for modern work, that we can use also AI to create plans, execute tasks, right, and do some unified solution for work management. And on the middle is, of course, is project operations. Project operation is basically it have end-to-end solutions coming in from the before of the project, right, until invoicing, until billing, basically the end-to-end whole project management. Now coming in for the big reveal, which is not a big reveal anymore, basically that this project, that project online will be retired, right? September 30th this year. So what is the impact? What is the implications? Well, I mean, after April, it will not be possible to create any new project online panels, but of course, it will continue to function as expected until the retirement date. Now, why is this happening? There are a few reasons that is happening, right? There is some deprecation in terms of SharePoint Online Workflow Designer, right? But the main thing is this is more like a legacy architecture, right? It's lacking what I would say like integration touch points to AI, which is what is the game changer right now, right? All the AI capabilities, right? That AI possibilities that can be done. Um, right now, the architecture for Project Online is I would say is quite old, right? So that's now it's being deprecated. And this is also aligned with the evolution of Microsoft Cloud offering, right, for the next generation, which is AI first business solution. So, I mean, this is now the time to act, right? If you haven't like planned your transition, now I think it's time to start planning your transition. So, in terms of transition options, there are a few transition options, right, that can be done. Number one is, of course, a planner. Planner is basically will be confined into more on the we're talking about portfolios, baseline, tasks, project, right? Which is if this is something that you do, right? Then or you don't need anything else, you only need for project and project execution, right? This is something that can be an option to you. Second thing is the project server subscription edition, right? This is which is more like a close match to project online. It's more like I will say cloud hosted on-prem project um, project server. So meaning that this is working. You're still working with. You can work with the MPV files. It's more or less uh, similar or the same with project online in terms of features. And of course, then the last one is the project operations, which we are going uh, to dwell, right? To dive deep because it's tailored for customers that want to have like a robust timesheet management, resource scheduling, and more like end-to-end solutions in terms of project management. All right. So I will start now about project operations, right? So project operations in here, there are three words: enterprise grade, data first, powered, and AI driven, right? So this is not really only marketing words. It's actually means something, right? Enterprise grade, right? Everything about here is enterprise, is in terms of security, in terms of scalability, right? In terms of usability. This is enterprise grade. It's data first powered. We have like a single source of truth, and it's easy to connect to the ecosystem, Microsoft ecosystem, and of course AI driven, right? Later we are going to talk and show a little bit about the agentic capabilities that project operations have, and I'm sure this will be beneficial for you. Okay. So in in terms of the mission itself, right? The mission is definitely does not change, right? We're going to try to create, more like addictive, predictive, and connected experience. We need to basically help you to run better projects, right? Smarter, faster, with good insights. And at the center is, of course, right now is AI first project management. Surrounding the center, right? It will also help so it connects all the people with the process and the insight. Now, let's talk a little bit about project operations difference. So just now we are talking about investment and we both talking about revenue driving projects. Now the things about project operations, right? It is actually covering like both, right? We're covering the whole spectrum of project management. Either it's investment projects or revenue driving projects. during the project, the controlling, time tracking, the collaboration, the resource management, right? It's all being covered. But not only that, right? We're talking also about before the project and after the project. So we're talking about the project planning itself, the project sales itself, the internal request, the business case, anything that initiate the needs of the project, right? Either it's come from sales or internal, is also covered with project operations. And lastly is also after the project, right? Talking about your financial, talking about your ERP, what your reporting, your internal and customer billing, right? So if you are on that D365 finance and operations, that is great, right? We are happy. I think SK will be very happy, of course. But if it's not, you're on SAP Oracle, that's also fine, right? Because there is the integration, I will say, is like almost native. You can use project operations to connect to that SAP Oracle almost seamlessly, right? It's not like a rip and replace. It's like a good fit. I will continue, right? Now let's talk a little bit about the blueprint. Now, in terms of the blueprint itself, this is talking about architecture slide, how it all fits together. Right. At the beginning, at the bottom, we have a single source of truth, right? This is speaking about data first, and this is huge, right? We're talking about data. Sometimes we have separate data here and there, right? But in terms of talking about the sales project operation, we have single source of truth, all your customer data, all your transactions data, all your project, your task data, it's being stored in the data first. That means on top of it, it is easy and straightforward to have a security, right? To configure the security at all levels. Right? Who can see what and why? We can talk about, we can divide it in granular level. We can have a hierarchical structure, right? Like manager and like talking about managerial, right? Or directorial. Like who can see his team, who can see that team, all the business units, all the granularity, right? That is something that is come natively, right? And of course, now it's also coming into Power Platform. So there is an extensibility, right? In the Power Platform, you can extend the application to fulfill your needs. On top of it, also we have this VPN, asset management, some proMX core, which later on my colleague Ashish will drill a little bit deeper, right? Which is we do have some products that also can supercharge, I will say, the project operations. And on top of that, of course, the customer specific layer, because every company is unique. There must be some configuration or customization that can happen. And then we have after that, we'll have some insights now, by Power BI or even by out of the box dashboard, right? There's a lot of ways that you can get some insight from that. And this is the part that I'm very excited with, which is when talking about Copilot, when talking about agent, right? Because now we're talking about AI. AI is always great. Everyone in here, I believe, already used to some extent. But of course, AI is the most powerful when it's supported with a strong platform application data model, right? So it's not hallucinate, it's not making things up, but actually um, gives great value for us. Now, of course, later on, there's also, we're talking about integration. Now, integration, there is a lot of connectors. I think it's like 1,500 plus right now. Connectors that is native, that is out of the box. Meaning virtually, if you're talking about SAP, Oracle, all the big names, right? Definitely there is a connector to it already, meaning that this application is fit into your company ecosystem. Definitely. And of course, last but not least, is we're talking about integration with your Office, your Excel, your Outlook, your Excel, your Teams, right? If you are used to work with your Excel, later on we can show you also that how does this natively integrated with Project Ops. Yeah, and of course, when talking about the finances, right? FNO is of course native, but like things like SAP, Oracle, or even your own ERP, right? That is well supported in this architecture. Plus, we have a lot of experience. In terms of organization, right? This is what most organization looks today, right? And we can see this everywhere. Meaning what? Meaning there's a lot of silos, right? Project management can work on its own, on her own thing. Resource manager can work on his own thing. Team members work on their own application. Finance on his own application. Account manager is also own application, right? There is like a lot of separate system that is working on their own. There's lots of silos and everywhere. So this is something that what project operations is designed to solve. So when we're talking about project operations, right, we're trying to be a more unified experience. So coming in from any role, right, either you're project manager, either you're a resource manager, account, finance, team member, but you can have a streamlined execution, one platform, one single source of truth. So that is what project operations attempt to achieve. Project operation is basically talking about a unified project management solution that is streamlining entire life cycle. Right? Coming in from the left side, coming in from deal management, we're talking about your sales, your contract, your quote, right? Even your CPQ, right? That can originate your sales or even your project request. Then it will go to the work planning. You can do some scheduling. You can have your Gantt charts, your Kanban boards. You can see your estimate, your budgets. You can have templates, and of course, on your planning, you will see your resourcing itself, right? Because you need to you need resource to work on your tasks, right? To do your bookings, and then when you're doing execution, we're talking about time tracking, about expense tracking, material tracking. When you're doing execution, you need mobile apps, right? Because sometimes it's not always desktop, but there's also support for subcontracting because this is, of course, the reality of the project. Some part of the project we are not doing ourselves, but we are subcontracting to another vendor. How are we going to onboard and how do we going to do some vendor management itself? And of course, we're talking about billing, right, or pro forma. We're talking about your invoices. We're talking about adjustment, corrections. So this is what project operation is basically supporting. And on the bottom of it, we also talking about the extension capability of the project ops, right? We see a lot of connectors, right? We have a common data framework, Copilot, of course. We have AI analytics and low-code agility, right? Which is very important because this can be tailored for your roles, for your needs, in a very fast way, of course. Right now, I will just talk a little bit about AI. This is basically AI empowered platform. So there are multiple agents that is being supported in terms of project ops. Some agents can do retrieval, right? Can ground the data, can actually reason, can summarize, can answer some user questions. Some agent can actually do something, take action when asked, right? Or automating some workflows. And when we're talking about more advanced agentic capability, we can talk about autonomous, right? We just operate independently on the back end. So it's not like supervised, but we already set it, configure it, and it will run the back end and give us the result that we need. And it can also do it in not only agentic, but multi-agentic way, meaning we can have multiple agents that being orchestrated, right? It can learn, it can escalate things. Now we're talking about project operations. The main thing is basically more than the retrieval and tasks, but the autonomous is not far away, to be really honest, right? The future is clear. Okay, so one of my favorite slide, of course, we're talking about Copilot. Copilot is not just one thing, right? It's not just like a chatbot that do all the thing, but actually can do a lot of things itself, right? For example, it can do some proposal generation, what if analysis, time entry, using natural language. I think this is also quite interesting because time entry typically is something that I never like to do, but I just have to do it somehow, right? Expense entry, natural language. If talking about project operation, right, there is some suggestion about tasks, some suggestion about project plan. The generative AI can also, give risks, give issues, resourcing, and even project status report. When talking about internal report, when talking about external report, right? So reports maybe usually take hours to prepare. Imagine your steer committee, but now it can take like 30 seconds, right? We already have it and then can be generated easily. And of course, when we are talking about project ops definitely have what we call like an embedded Microsoft Planner capabilities, right? In which we'll have like you see here, like for example, the Gantt chart and the Kanban board itself, right? This is to manage the timeline, to add tasks, add assignment, and then viewing all the project progress. All right. So right now, I think I will go with the demonstration. So this is how does this the project operation looks like, right? Um, the standard look and feel from Microsoft itself. We can see that there is side menu on the left side, right? And now is Copilot Center. So the first thing that greet us is the chatbot itself, right? Which we can ask for something. But other thing that is also quite interesting is we do have this team chat experience, right? Which is this is something that is can be connected to your teams directly, which I think is a good thing, right? Because right now, because of this Teams chat, you can collaborate directly with your team, right? You can talk about the project, you can talk about your problems and anything, and without leaving the application itself. And actually, can be the other way around also, right? It can be open from your teams, right? So depending on what you need. Now, I want to showcase you our our portfolio management, right? So in here, when we're talking about project, right, there is a big possibility that project does not goes on its own, right? Usually you will have more than one project, I hope, right? So you have more than one project, and that project usually can be grouped, right? It can be grouped, for example, it can be grouped to a certain program, and it can be grouped to a certain portfolio, right? So project operations, right, in accordance also with proMX capabilities, it can give you this structure, right, in which you have the capability to manage your portfolio and to have a visual about your portfolio itself, right? So in here we can see this is the terms of this, like your portfolio, this is your program, this is your project, and you can see as well the connections between your project, because sometimes projects are dependent into each other, right? Like for example, some project can only be started if the project is already finished. And here we can do some changes. For example, we can uh, we can drag here, drag there, right? We can visually changes what is happening or even the connection itself, so we have a thorough understanding on how the project stands, right? Now we also in here have the capability of baseline, right? So in here, if I visualize the baseline, we can see on this gray, this is like the baseline or something that is planned at the beginning, and then we can see how does it goes right now. Is it still following the baseline? Is it underperform? Is it overperform? What are the changes and all? Right. We can also see that this is not only. I mean, right now in here, we're only looking at we're only looking at the timeline, but that is not all that we can do. We can also see, for example, we can see the financial. When we're looking at the financials, we can see the budget from the perspective of budget, we can see the perspective of sales or the cost or the forecast itself, right? And then we can understand more like, okay, how does this portfolio or how does this project, right? How many costs that has been incurred, and in terms of forecasting itself, right? What is the forecast for about the financial condition about this project? So all of that is something that we are supporting as well. And lastly is also we have this resource view, right? Because when we're talking about projects, right, we also talk about the resource or the person that will support the project itself. And then in here we can see, for example, who are the resource or the team member that's being assigned to this project. We can see that in here. So this view will give you like the whole end-to-end view of your system, basically. Lastly, is we can see also that the comparison, right? Meaning we can create a snapshot, right? And then we can compare what is the reality and the snapshot, right? You can have multiple versions. In that case, we will be able to see, right? Like what is our current project right now, current state, right? And what is depending on maybe the previous version of our planning. So this will help our planning. Okay. Now, in terms of portfolio itself, we will see that this portfolio have some informations, right? Coming with all the summary informations, the name, the type, the priority, for example. We can also see the risks, we can see the issues, we can also see the budget, right? Meaning we can have the budget line, the portfolio. in terms of budget. We can have it coming from the top down, portfolio, program, project, everything in which we can track it, right? So it's not only we will see that multiple project itself. So if you are working on the higher level, right, as a C level, as a director, and then looking into your program top down, then you'll be able to see like, okay, this is how everything is performing, how everything is related. Okay. Now I'm going to the project itself. So in here, for example, I can show you that this is how one example we can see like all our active projects, right? This is all of our active projects in here. We can see that there is an option, for example, to export to Excel in here, in which all of this we can actually export to Excel easily. We can have a Word template, right? To export it maybe on Word type, for example, right? In here we can do some bulk editing. We can do some bulk activation, deactivation. We can assign this record, right? So this give us also a lot of capabilities and also good integration with Office, right? Because in here we can also export to Excel quite easily. In that case. So if I open one of the project itself, I will have in here the Pacific Light project. So just to give some glimpse into this, right? So in here we can see like, okay, this project has this summary. This is the details of the project itself, right? Coming in what portfolio, what program that this project is. We can see all the estimates. You can see all the actuals, all the cost budgets. And also important thing is the timeline itself, right? So when you're talking about integration with the Office, is talking about your Outlook, your email. When there is a project, there might be some communication, right? Communication from here and there in regards of your project. So definitely project operation can track your email and also type in to this project. So every communication, everything is being stored here. And if you see here, there is something what we call as a highlight. Now this highlight is an AI capability, Copilot capability. So basically, what it will do is it will summarize, right? It will summarize all uh, the content of your timeline. So you don't have to scroll everything, but you can see, okay, this is what is needed, what is the summary, right, of everything. Now we have multiple tabs in here, right? So for example, we're talking about tasks. Okay. When we're talking about tasks, this is we can see in here, okay, this is like the list of tasks that we are planning. We can see the details of it, who is being assigned to, right? When it start, finish, what's the effort, the person of completion itself, right? And then we can see it in multiple ways. Grid is of course one of the ways. We can see it more maybe on the Kanban board view, right, which is loading right now. We later also can see this. Okay, so now we can see this more like on a Kanban board view. We can see this also on the timeline view, right? That's when we can see how the task is related to each other, for example, and how it is being assigned. We can see this on the chart view, right? We can see, like, for example, what is the effort per person, and in buckets, which one is not started, which one is approved, in progress, and everything. Right? You can see it also from the assignment view, right? So in here we can see this task coming in from who is being assigned and what is the effort and everything. You can also see it on peoples, you can also on goals, right? There's a lot of views that you can see how this task is being managed. Yeah. Next part here is talking about the team section in here, right? So in here we can have all the teams, all the resources, right? Now the resources in here, we can have uh, name resources like Manuel or me, but you can also have generic resources, right? So generic resources is also a good capabilities that um, the project ops have, right? As an additional capability, meaning that you have a plan, you have a task, you can assign to a role first, right? For example, like a project manager. And what can happen next? Of course, this system will be able to help you to suggest the resources, right? And then see like what from all the available resources, what are the resources that is fit into to that task, or it can also generate the requirement, right? So basically, if you have a structure where you do have a resource manager, right, then you can generate requirement for your resource manager to find the best resource. Okay, I will split things up a little bit, right? There are also a lot of other things, like for example, the resource assignment. We can see it from here. How does the task being assigned from resource week by week? We can see the resource reconciliation itself, right? Um, we can see the estimates, right? So in terms of estimates of costing, because every resource, every role have costing, have a prices that we can configure, right? In terms of costing, how much is already being incurred, what's the total cost price, that is also can be seen rather quickly. And last is, of course, we can also track the budget, right? Until the cost budget line, what is the budget itself, what is being forecasted, what is it that has been used, right? So we can track the budget as well in terms of in this sense. Lastly, in here we also have the Copilot status report, right? In which you can have internal report or you can have like external report. So what is this report is basically more like a like Copilot generated report that is coming in from the actuals, right? And then it can shows like the status of the project, right? Even the details of the project itself, like the summary, the financials, right? Or the work that's been done. So imagine you're a project manager, right? You want to have some report or some understanding about the project. You don't need to take too much time. You can directly go and then see from this corporate generated report. Okay. So I have already talked to you more or less about the out of the box capabilities of project operations, right? And also some portfolio management capabilities that proMX have. But also, when we are talking just now, we are also talking a lot about AI, right? And AI is very, very interesting in my point of view because the capabilities of it is just overwhelming, right? We can have a lot of things that is fast and interesting. So we want to share you this last three tab, which is the last three use case of the demo, right? So when we're talking about dashboard, right? This is also the possibilities. This is what we are making, right? For one of our client, basically. So not production data, not anything, but the concept is coming from what one of our client engagement. So imagine that you are like from professional service background, right? And then you are working not only with project ops, you are working with Azure DevOps as well, right? So this dashboard is also showing not only project operation stuff, right, but also in integration with Azure DevOps, right? The connection with the coming in from the project and the task, and also the work items from Azure DevOps, and then we can see at the end like how does it all relates from particular level, from program level, from project level, right? Even financial level, like how does it all relates, right? We can see it from the delivery view, we can see it from the executive view, right? So it depends on your role, depends on your need, then it can be adjusted quite easily. Second, last thing is we're talking about this what we call as a EVM command center or earned value management, right? So this is a use case that typically I believe some construction company are having, right? We wanted to see very clearly, right? What is the CPI? What is the SPI, right? What is the earned value, right? In terms of forecasting. Now, because the data model is already inside the project ops and it's handled, I will say the data model is quite mature, right? In this sense, then we can easily see, right, and have a dashboard that can show us all the fee, the SPI, the CPI, the EAC, right, and also the variance itself, right? And then from here, it's easy for us to visualize, like, okay, what is the performance quadrant of the project itself, right? What's the project is over budget, under budget, and then we can have a visual understanding on how the project goes. Now, the interesting part of it is, of course, this AI project analyst in here, right? In terms of this, you can easily see, like, okay, we can talk to the AI backend, to the Copilot, to the AI Foundry backend, right? Like, for example, what is the project that needs some attention? Then it can talk, right? Like, okay, this project is, we can identify this is requiring some attention and everything. And all of this is enabled because one thing, because of the maturity of the application platform and data model, right? Because there is the environment where AI tries test. The last one is the what if scenarios in here, right? So this what if scenarios is something that that is also possible, right? This is one of the possibilities in here. We can see, for example, a view of our portfolio in the card view, for example, on the left side, right? What was the budget, how much is being spent, right? And all the timeline and everything. But the interesting here is this is focusing on what if scenario, right? And of course, the data is mock-up, but this is actually already connected to the AI, right? So, for example, if I see in here, there is a project called mobile app, right? And then I can easily ask like, what if I increase uh, the budget for mobile app by 75%, for example, right? And then I'll ask this to simulate. So this will take some time, maybe about 30 seconds, but it's actually connected to the AI. What does it do right now, right? It actually, in a smart way, it actually parse the data and then pass it to the intelligence, right? To the Azure OpenAI, to Copilot. And then what happens? It gives a correct analysis on what is happening. So in here you can see that's under the mobile, right? If we are cutting the budget, what will happen? There will be budget impact. Of course, it's green, right? It's lesser money. It's all nice, but the timeline shift, right? The resource impact, the risk level, all is high, right? So this is all the capabilities that is possible to be built, right? Because of the maturity and the because of the maturity, right? Because of the robustness and scalability of project operations. So yeah, there is still a lot more that I can show, but of course we have time limitation at this point. So right now, I'm going to um, uh, end this demo, and right now I will give back this one to Ashish to talk about proMX.
Thank you, Anthony. I think this was such a brilliant demonstration because it kind of covers a lot of AI, obviously being the buzzword, and it's all about AI, right? So how businesses and companies can kind of leverage these functionalities more from the project side, right? So uh, what are we doing as proMX? I mean, proMX, of course, has been a veteran into Microsoft Dynamics, right? One of the preferred partners globally. When there are companies who are operating more on projects, right? If you're a project centric business or you're a project heavy business, you definitely need a trusted advisor. And this trusted advisor obviously is somebody who's a subject matter expert who kind of gives you uh, things that you need, things that you want. And then this also involves responsibilities on the partner, of course, who's getting into this engagement with the customer, where we try to enable your organization, your users to succeed with Microsoft Dynamics. And in this case, we're talking about project operations, right? Which is uh, a complex application, which is an enterprise application. And this does include a lot of complexity. It brings a lot of value. It is a little expensive, as they say, but the kind of benefits that it brings is unparalleled. And this is something that we are trying to bring to our customers. And if you are somebody who's using Project Online, then we are trying to help you out in terms of understanding whether project operation could be the right fit for your business. And this is something that we would like to engage with you separately. If you have specific questions, if there's a particular case that you have in mind, for example, your business, we would be happy to do a deep dive and let you, understand the whole process, the whole journey of how we can help you move from your existing environment, which is, let's say, Online, to Microsoft Dynamics 365 project operations. And Why proMX? I mean, obviously there are a lot of Microsoft partners who might be good at doing this, but proMX has always been known as one of those key partners, especially working around project operations, right? So our focus has always been helping businesses who are more project centric, who are more project heavy. And what are we bringing for you on the table is I've done more than 150 plus successful implementation around projects, right? Around project-centric businesses again, with 10 plus years of extensive experience in implementing project operations. So I remember when we started back in 2000, we started as a professional message exchange services company, and that's why the name proMX. And from there, we shifted to the CRM side of it. We became CRM Partner of the Year, worked with multiple businesses across Europe, and then in last couple of years we kind of went global, expanded in multiple regions, from US to UK to Canada, Singapore, Australia, India. We're working almost in all the markets, helping Microsoft, helping our customers, partners manage and streamline their internal and external operations. And this is all because of our years of experience into project management solution. And what also differentiates us from the other partner is the team of experts that we have. They've got extensive product knowledge, industry know-how. We've been a Microsoft Solutions partner for business application, data and AI, digital app and innovation, modern work. Uh, what also is very interesting for us, we have direct access to the Microsoft product group because since 2015 till now, we have been able to align and work with Microsoft Product Group, which also lets us have the front row seat to understand how the product development is shaping the businesses, and whether it is infusing it with AI or bringing some value add features for our customers. And this also depends, of course, as we are able to pass them the first hand feedback from customers that we interact with on the ground. So we are able to pass your feedback, your questions, your concerns directly to the product group, and basis that we can see if some of those features and modules could be brought in the native application. And we have four MVPs for Microsoft Business Application, Project Operations, and AI. That also kind of is very valuable because these are the people who are the key people working for communities, working with the product group. They have the best know-how of the product, and that's why they are Microsoft's most valuable professionals. So we have an upper hand always when it comes to engaging customers or helping them out with what is best or what is right for them. I mentioned about our access to the Microsoft product group, right? And there are people who are, of course, very important from the leadership point of view, which is, as you see on the screen, Rupa and Georg, the leaders from Microsoft product side. They're all based in US. And this unique expertise and partnership that we bring is long before Microsoft even envisioned, that D365 project service automation, which is now, of course, the project operations, has already started creating like a strong project management solution base. And over the years, of course, the product kind of matured, got evolved, and as we see uh, today, the market need and the industry requirement is such that Microsoft D365 project operation has become one of those important tools or applications that these companies are relying on heavily. And whether it is resource based engagement or tracking, or for example submitting timesheets, managing your profitability, looking at your project accounting, stuff like that, everything is kind of covered within this project operation. It's more of a one and all solution to manage your projects end to end, but that also includes right from the opportunity stage till the execution stage, right, till the invoicing stage. So you see leaders supporting us and vouching for us because they have seen the work that proMX has done. And that is why when we start engaging and talking to customers, we try to bring you the first hand information of the development or the progress that the product has made individually. And then there are people vouching and supporting us, from the leadership side. That means you're in right hands when you're working with us. Something that I remember Anthony pointed out on our own IP. So, of course, proMX is, like I said, one of the preferred global dynamics partner. But what also kind of puts us, in a different spot is we have our own applications that we have built on top of Microsoft Dynamics 365. And today this is called proMX 365 Productivity Suite. All these applications that you see, five of them right now, right from proMX 365 Core to time tracking, mobile time tracking, absence management, project portfolio management. These applications are live on the Microsoft App Stores. You can download, play with it, or if you need a specific information related to these products, we can definitely share you that information. Uh, the interesting part here is the time tracking and the mobile time tracking solution. We are proud to share that this particular IP is now included in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Project Operations Solution as a native as a natively integrated application. So these two of our IPs are now part of project operations, standard project operations. And that also tells us the quality of product that we have built over time and how these products are helping customers and Microsoft to bridge the gap and the requirement of those features which were not part of the original out of the box product, but we are trying to cover that gap for you. So this also tells you that if there is a particular need and we see that this is not available, let's say in standard out of the box or requires a lot of customization, we'd be happy to develop that for you. We'll be happy to do that exercise together to understand what are those gaps, what are those features that would benefit your business. And if we have to go back and do a whiteboarding or a session with you, we're happy to do that. And then we can bring out of what is possible with our available IPs and what is not possible, or how we can bring it together with Microsoft to make sure that we are also in line with the compliances and with what Microsoft is producing. So this definitely gives you a comfort of relying and depending on a partner who's very much in line to what Microsoft is envisioning in terms of product development, in terms of roadmap, in terms of how product is going to change and evolve over time. Perfect. There are some of these global customers that you see. I'm not going to read out every customer, but as you see, I pointed a couple of times, that project operations, particularly D365 project operation, is a project heavy is pretty much fitting for project centric businesses. What I mean here is if you are a business who's completely relying on what different kind of projects. Now these projects could be internal and external both, right? And when mean these projects, you need people to manage these projects. So these could be industries which are heavily dependent on resources. For example, that includes professional services, manufacturing, engineering and construction, travel and transportation, logistics, utilities, renewables, energy, oil, gas. These are the companies that are extensively dependent on resources, on people who are going to manage their operations, who are going to do these projects for them. And as you see, some of these global brands, as you see, they are all from all over the world, from the markets that I've mentioned that we work in. And we have implemented not just D365 project operations. Of course, that is one of our hero offering. But what we also do is I call proMX as a one-stop shop. We also look at Dynamics 365, or rather, we are not a partner who's going to give you one specific solution, but we can actually stitch multiple applications from the Microsoft Dynamics 365 application suite and give you something which is much more relevant, much more fitting for your needs. It could be from Microsoft CRM CRM side of it, or from the ERP side of it, which means FNO side of it, or from the project side of it, or Power Platform, Copilot, all of these stuff. So if you feel that you are fitting into one of those industries, even if you're not, but you do use Project Online and you need something much better, something much more reliable, something much more extra that you need, the cherry on the cake, that could be moving to a better application that could be Project Tops. Of course, it comes with its own, complexities and cost and timelines. But like I said again and again, we'd be happy to sit down with you do a one-on-one to educate you and tell you what is right for you and whether it makes sense for you to actually move to project ops, or you should stay, or you should move in the other options that Anthony already pointed out. So feel free to contact us, and we'd be happy to engage with you. And how we can help, of course. I talked about proMX being a global partner headquartered in Germany, but working in different markets. Anthony and I are based out of Singapore. So, particularly Asia Pacific, that we are trying to cover in this webinar, or the audiences that we are trying to talk today, is also letting them know that proMX is not just your typical services partner, but we are also a direct CSP provider, which means we can also help you with your licensing needs. If you need any kind of Microsoft license, we are also the right partner. We are authorized and compliant to provide you licenses across markets in ASEAN market, and we do offer managed support. So right from consulting to implementation to development to support to migrate, upgrade, manage support, anything that you need is what proMX can offer you. That's why I said we are a one-stop shop. We do have a pro developer extensibility, which means we do employ a lot of .NET and Azure developers, which are also, the backbone of our development team end of the day. And then we do have a lot of training, internal training, and a lot of certified resources that we have, a lot of certifications, skill development programs that we run internally. Some best practices, of course, are important because when you work very closely with Microsoft, you need to have your best people in place. You need to have your best practices in place, internal processes in place, for example. And I mentioned about sharing this close relationship with Microsoft leadership, with the product group, with a lot of sellers in different markets. And access to the MVP strategic insight and knowledge, because the MVP, Microsoft's most valuable professionals, are able to give us those strategic insights, which maybe a lot of commoners, or the other folks in the industry would not know. And that's why I said we always have an upper hand because of these MVP folks, bringing us the latest insight. Migration pathway and methodology, of course, I mentioned about offering a 1 day free assessment to all the customers, all the prospects who are willing to explore this further. So what proMX is doing at the moment, and this is a global initiative that we are running with Microsoft in different markets. We are working together with customers and offering a 1 day free assessment. In this, what we'll do is we'll actually go through your current setup, we'll understand your bottlenecks, we'll understand your desires, your needs, to actually explore and help you move to the best solution. Whether it's project operations or not, that we could explore more during the free assessment session. But this free assessment is definitely going to be an amazing experience for both of us, right from getting to know you, your systems, and your expectations from the new solution. I know we have been, I mean, we spoke a lot, but the idea is to also let you know that you have somebody that you can completely rely on, and that is what Anthony and I tried to cover today together with Microsoft. Uh, the best part, of course, is to understand, what is the strategy here? How do we move forward? And there is a planned migration path, as you see on screen. So I talked about the free assessment. Feel free to contact us. And in this assessment, what are we going to do also is help you understand what is the best migration path fitting for you, right from helping you move from project online to project operations. In the beginning, Kshitij did mention about the timeline, so we need to make sure that we are pretty much aware of what those deadlines are. And to begin with, we'll start with we'll assess and plan, and then we'll help you, configure and map. So it's more like initiate, implement, prepare, operate, which is also pretty much in line to Microsoft Success by Design methodology. And in this case, you will definitely have proMX's agentic experience. Yeah, with that, I think I'd like to conclude today's webinar, and we'd keep the chat open for some Q&A. But Very important. If somebody's interested, we do have our proMX Project Operations plus AI Summit 2026 this year happening in Microsoft Munich, 21, 22 April. This is our third year, and we have been very successful in hosting this exclusive invite only Project Operations AI Summit. And this summit, if you're interested, this is happening in Microsoft Munich. We can show you the detailed agenda of the speakers, of what's going to happen there. It's definitely something to attend. And you would love to have in-person discussions with Microsoft product leaders, with different customers across Europe and US and in Asia. And this is something where you can actually get to know more about the whole AI ecosystem and what is going to happen in the project industry particularly. So with that, I would like to jump on the Q&A, and I saw there were some questions coming in. So I think we can look at that. And I think my colleagues did try to cover some questions here. But I think we are running out of time, but I think we can stay for 2, 3 minutes and we can see if we can cover some questions here.
Okay, there are multiple questions here, right? One is from Abelardo. Are the financial figures and some data need to be aligned to an ERP, say FNO, integrate use cases need to be aligned? Okay, so if we're talking about ERP integration, right? If we're talking about FNO, it is an actually native integration, right? So we have what we call as a dual write, right? Meaning that there's a native integration from the ERP database and to the data first, meaning that all the financial figures, because if we're talking about ERP, we're talking about more detailed calculation, right? We're talking about, for example, the revenue recognitions and all. So it's a matter of configurations, right? It's not actually doing some coding or some programming, heavy programming to do that, but it's just some configuration that we need to do in terms of FNO. If you are talking about another ERP, something, for example, like Oracle and SAP, it's also a matter of configurations because we do have multiple connectors, right? A lot of connectors that we can use out of the box that we can connect to the ERP system easily, right?
The second one again, I think again from Abelardo, but and this
Mm.
is one of my favorite questions. Anthony, if you don't mind, I can take this up.
You take it.
It says, uh, Abelardo, you said, can we implement this out of the box and set up independent on other D360 M365 applications and then eventually integrate to other applications on an as-is basis? So the beauty of Microsoft applications, because Microsoft is offering more like a platform, right? So the beauty here is that you can definitely set this up as out of the box, and then you can integrate it with different applications, whether it is Microsoft or third-party application, doesn't matter. Obviously, the complexity is different. It's much lower than any other applications for that matter. But the best part is what we have seen in our experience also is that even if you implement out of the box, you would need certain amount of customization basis your specific processes, basis your specific industry, how you run your business, how you kind of manage your operations, right? So you can get started with out of the box, yes, but you do need at some point some customization or some modification in the system, which will give you exactly what you dreamt of in the beginning. And then when you try to extend this to integrate it with Microsoft applications, whether it is M365 or other Dynamics applications or other business application, that is definitely available on as is basis. So that is not a problem because Microsoft has got a lot of inbuilt connectors. I remember Anthony also pointed out more than 1,000 plus connectors available already, so that makes the whole engagement pretty easier, compared to the other integration stuff.
I see a question from Rakesh. Currently, Project Online had quite a few customer reports. How painful is the migration? And then there's also a question from Carson regarding Project Online rollout across several countries. I think I will try to answer these two questions together. So basically, this is the reason why we are having our pre-assessment because definitely every company have different needs, right, and different condition situation. But in terms of in general, how painful is the migration really? It's not that painful, to be honest. And the reason is because we have done this before. We already have some clients in which we are already doing this project online to project migration. So we do have some of the experience in terms of For example, what tables should be met, right, and what things to be assessed, and what needs to be done. So certainly, we are not looking of months of downtime, definitely, right? It will be, I would say in general, it will be, we're talking about weeks, not months, in terms of migrating from project online to project ops. But of course, on the certain stuff, we will see whether that is the best for your product, right? I will say that going to project operation is like 0 to 1, to be honest, because it's unlocked a lot of capabilities that cannot be compared. It's not just like a faster horse, to be honest, right? It's a car, right? It's a totally different game. Right? Talking about AI, we're talking about the end-to-end implementation and all. Now, if we are, for example, to be specific, like we already have rolled out in several countries, and we have a few countries left, right? So in that case, the one that has been, the one that we will assess it like in details, the one that has been rolled out, right? We will do some mapping, some planning on how to actually migrate to project ops, right? In terms of the biggest challenges, of course, there are some challenges there. For example, in terms of when talking about critical rollout, in principle, for example, like the timeline itself, the user impacted, the change management, right? So that will need to be taken, but there is something that we can do, right, in more in-depth discussion. So I think because of the time, I'll go to the next question first. Is this also impacting Microsoft Planner? I believe there will be some changes in Microsoft Planner. Unfortunately, I think our friend from Microsoft, SK, I think it's already not in the call, but the biggest impact, the biggest changes, of course, we're talking is on Project Online, right, which will be out and will be end of life. Planner will be still running on its own. I think there's some improvement as well in there, but it is Planner will be targeted mostly for people or organizations that use project mainly as projects, right? That do not need the end-to-end capabilities, right? Talking from the sales to project invoicing. So that's that. Lastly, from Rakesh, AI and Copilot quite a bit. Is this actually useful today or roadmap promise? And Copilot is always the future, but the future is today, right? So it is useful today, right? It is running today. It can be used today. Um, and we're talking about AI. As I said, AI thrive in a good and mature data platform and mobile. And there's a lot of AI layer that project operation have out of the box. For example, we're talking about Copilot, we're talking about OpenAI service, talking about Foundry. So it is alive today, right now, right, and can be used um, really adding values, right, to your requirement. So just now there is a demo for like an what if scenarios, right? For example, that what if scenarios is something that is already being used, right? It can actually give you advice on what is needed. All right. I think there is a last question here. Let me know if I miss anything. How does project operation compares tools like Jira, Monday, or Primavera? Why should we go Microsoft, right? Yeah, because that will make us very happy, of course. But the real answer is Microsoft have a very big upper hand in terms of ecosystem, right? For example, most of us, a lot of people, even if they are not using project operation, they're using Office, for example. They're using Outlook, they're using Teams, they're using Word, they're using Excel. It is native and integration directly. In terms of AI also, Microsoft is also like on the front end, right? In terms of AI development. All the ChatGPT model, ChatGPT 5, 5.2, it's already available. It can be used. So there are a lot, I will call it like an ecosystem. There is a connection to the ecosystem of excellence, a lot of things that can be done, a lot of things that can be used directly if we are using project operations inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So that will be, for me, that will be the greatest value to go with Microsoft.
Perfect. I think then with this, I think we'd like to conclude the today's webinar, but we are very happy to speak to you separately, Abelardo. And if you have any questions, I think either one of us or our team members will definitely get in touch with you, and we'd like to understand your specific case to see how we can advise you and guide you further on this. You do have our emails. I can put that again. Feel free to write us if you already have some slots in mind or you would like to jump on a quick call. Without wasting any time, I'd be happy to connect with you. And yeah, and then from there, we look forward to engage and work with you in future. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Then thank you everyone. Everyone, thank you. Then see you again and you can contact us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, everyone.